Hello and welcome back to EESC 418A. This is Lecture 8B, Letters. In Earth and Environmental Science, if we're writing a letter, we're usually writing some sort of a cover letter that will introduce some larger document. So if we do a large environmental impact assessment, or a site investigation, or some other environmental assessment, usually that will be a very large document with multiple volumes, and we'll write a short cover letter that will introduce the entire assessment to our readers, often the government, and it will also give a date stamp and some basic information so that the government can file it properly. We'll also use cover letters when we write a resume, and we'll be talking about that near the end of this semester. In Earth and Environmental Science, when we talk about letters, we're usually talking about cover letters. There are lots of other types of letters in business writing, but we won't cover those because we're really focused on technical writing for Earth and Environmental Science here. So we'll just go over cover letters. I've written a basic cover letter here. This is totally fictional, but it will illustrate the format. And the reason I'm only going to talk about the format for cover letters is because everything else about the letter just follows things that we've already talked about in terms of style. You want to be concise, coherent, have paragraph unity, and the other grammar and style elements all apply. So really it's just the format when we're talking about a letter. So what exactly is in this format? Well, to start with, we'll have a letterhead. This might be right-aligned or centered, but either way, it'll include a company name, an address, and a logo, usually, and a website. Next is the date. The letter always has to have a date because this will often be filed by date, wherever it's going to. Then we need the recipient. Who is this letter going to? Where is that company located? What is the company name? And what is that person's title within the company? Next, we need a salutation, usually dear. Other salutations are acceptable, but that is by far the most common and the standard. And then we have an introduction paragraph. The introduction will state the purpose of this letter, and it might refer to a previous conversation or to a request for proposal or some other document that invited this cover letter. Next, we have our body, and the body can be as long or as short as needed. There's no real length requirement or standard for a letter, but just keep in mind that everything within the body will follow the same style and grammar elements that we've discussed previously. Finally, we'll have a closing paragraph. There should always be some sort of a closing paragraph with a call to action. So in this example, should you agree that our firm has supplied a winning bid, please contact the undersigned by telephone. In this case, we're asking specifically to be contacted, and we want to avoid any sort of generic, don't hesitate to contact us or anything like that. That's really generic. We want a very specific call to action. If you agree that this bid is the winner, please contact us. It's very straightforward. Similarly with our salutation, we want to have a very specific salutation. In this case, I've said, Dear Ms. Cruz. It's not to whom this may concern or anything generic like that, because that will usually not end up in the place we want it. Finally, we have a complimentary close, which can be sincerely or yours truly or something along those lines. A signature. The signature is usually required on a letter to make it official. Otherwise, it might not be filed properly or it might not be considered to be an official correspondence. And then the signatory. In this case, it's Jim Johnson, and we'll put Jim's title. We don't need to put the company name again because it's on the company letterhead. And then we'll list any attachments or enclosures. So in this case, it's a bid package. In other cases, like I mentioned, it might be a site investigation or some sort of environmental assessment. Finally, we'll have a carbon copy list. Who else is getting a copy of this letter and everything attached? Okay, so like I said, letters are pretty simple. I just wanted to show you the format. This is definitely something that you'll want to know because we'll be doing cover letters later in the semester, and you'll want to follow this format. This is called block style letter format. Okay, we'll see you in Lecture 8C.